Welcome, everybody, to the Golden State Media Concepts television podcast. Today, we're going to talk about hidden gems and lost classics on Netflix, making the most of your Amazon Prime account, and breaking down some streaming devices. Today, we're going to focus on the Roku, so stick around.
Want to find out what movies to go see? Then check out the GSMC Movie Podcast. It's your ticket to the latest movies, whether it's a new blockbuster event, romantic, comedy, or action flick. This show has got it all covered. They talk some what to go see now. Don't bother. What's hot on Netflix and everything in between. That's GSMCpodcast.com/movie-podcast. When it's all about the movies, it has to be this new show. Don't forget to like them on Facebook and follow them on Twitter. Visit GSMCpodcast.com for more info.
Hey there, everybody. This is the Golden State Media Concepts television podcast. I'm your host, Drew. And I want to get into our first segment here today. We're going to talk about Netflix. You know, it's the dominating streaming service for film and television that's out there. 29 million subscribers worldwide. That seems like quite a bit. That's more people that than live in my home state, I actually believe. So what is it you're looking at? What is it you're watching on Netflix? Television-wise, there's a whole bunch to choose from. They're putting on series that are previously broadcast by regular networks as well as their own content. Really a pioneering force there in the streaming service. Netflix putting out stuff like House of Cards, Orange is the New Black. And then they got a deal with Disney, which a lot of that exclusivity is going to start taking place here next year. But they put out some good shows, mostly involving Marvel products. Daredevil, groundbreaking. Jessica Jones, a little bit more adult thematically, not necessarily violence-wise. Daredevil definitely trumps that. And then Daredevil Season 2 comes out. If you guys haven't watched Daredevil Season 2, or Daredevil Season 1 for that matter, get on the stick. This doesn't necessarily have to be something that you enjoy about superheroes or comic books or anything else. It's really just a good action show. It's a good action/crime show that just happens to feature a guy that dresses up and has superpowers. But some hidden gems that I'm coming across here, I'll find these mostly sitcoms that I didn't really ever catch when I was using cable or watching anything like that. Rules of Engagement, a standard reissuing of some people that you might have seen from other shows. It's got Patrick Warburton. He was famous to be using Seinfeld, The Tick. He's the voice of Joe from Family Guy. He's in the show. David Spade, coming off of Just Shoot Me, which was one of my favorites when I was growing up. He's also in it, playing sort of the Barney Stinson-like character, but just a little bit more pathetic. It's a fun show. It has a couple of the main cast members, the younger cast members that are a little bit wooden. They're not so great, but honestly, the supporting in Patrick Warburton and David Spade more than make up for it. Some good writing on that one. Check that one out. As well as Last Man Standing. I know didn't really bring in a lot of shares simply because of its conservative message, but I think the writing on it is great. Tim Allen, in form, standard sitcom-y like things. It's a live studio audience sitcom is set up, joke, and allowing for that the audience reaction. But on Netflix, if you want to get into a really good one that is critically acclaimed but didn't get a lot of viewership, and recommending it a lot to my friends, is Master of None. It's a Netflix original. It is a sitcom, but it's not a studio live audience recorded sitcom. Therefore, it allows a little bit more latitude as far as where you're shooting, as well as the jokes that you can tell. It's not something that's going to be some type of play on words. It's not going to be some kind of pun. It's not going to be some type of big laugh type thing. It's just something that you can laugh at because they're real jokes, because it's like watching a mini movie the whole time. Developed and starring Aziz Ansari. Even if you're not a fan, I wasn't really big on him when he was in Parks and Rec. His stand-up can get a little annoying, but he is solid in this show. He plays an aspiring actor, and rather than going through that comedian type arc that you see in Maria Bamford's show, which is a little bit out there, but also kind of fun. It's a sitcom that it's standard sitcom stuff. Single guy living in, everybody's getting married, everybody's having kids. He's just trying to, do what he can, as well as just kind of it's really sort of life through the millennial viewpoint here. Really funny show. Check that one out. And then when you see that and you see these newer sitcoms that get put on Netflix, you get stuff like Cheers. Cheers is available on Netflix. I think you can catch on Amazon Prime as well. So while you're going through and checking these out, you're like, oh, Cheers? Man, I haven't seen Cheers in years. Don't mean to actually make that rhyme and seem like anything else. The overly tan Ted Danson as Sam Malone. Go back and watch this. If you go back and watch the first few episodes, it is unbelievable how dark Ted Danson is in this show. But it's always good to go back and rewatch those. Cheers, widely considered by a lot of people that aren't of the Friends camp to be probably the best sitcom that was ever on TV. And it also got Frasier as the spinoff. I think Frasier's also on there as well. A lot of classics on there that you can go back and watch and really compare in the face of the new style sitcom, as well as something like Master of None, where it's not based in that old standard sitcom setup. Another thing you can catch on there, it's kind of TV related, kind of not, but what can fill in some gaps for you. If you're a fan of The Flash, which you can watch episodes of The Flash, I believe you can watch them on Hulu, and you can watch previous seasons on Netflix as well. But if you watch the season finale of Flash that just occurred, it's setting up for something that exists in the comics and that DC has already made into a movie. So on Netflix right now, you can catch Justice League Flashpoint Paradox. It's a world where, just like what happened on The Flash, he goes back in time and saves his mother from being killed, and therefore causes a rift in time. And when it gets back to what the present day is going to be, everything's changed. Now, some key differences there, because this is Justice League, there is the inclusion of Superman and Batman, which obviously in the Flash show they won't do because Warner Brothers is trying to keep those two properties away from them, especially something like Batman, because Fox is already doing Gotham, which you can catch Gotham previous seasons on Netflix as well. But they'll probably substitute with otherwise Bruce Wayne being killed, Thomas Wayne becomes Batman. They'll probably replace that with Arrow, because Arrow's already in that universe. And instead of having Superman in the position that he is, it'll probably be Supergirl. Supergirl is moving from CBS over to the CW. So they're probably going to throw that in there. Could be very exciting. So if you want to see a little bit of what could possibly happen on the next season of Flash, check out Justice League Flashpoint Paradox. Now, one that I'm hearing a lot about is the show Bloodline. It's also a Netflix original. It's a 1 hour drama. It's on its second season. It's got Sissy Spacek and Kyle Chandler. He's more known as like the character actor type. That's one that I'm honestly looking into getting into. Right now, my wife and I are just watching so many things. We're trying to get around to a lot of these. I'm going to check that one out as well. As far as a Netflix original that goes out there, one that I was a fan of when I was watching it, an AMC original. AMC puts out really good product. Hell on Wheels. I really enjoyed this one. Cole Meany just has so many great lines in this show. If you haven't been familiar with it, It's about the westward expansion and the building of the railroads post-Civil War, and we see our hero that was a soldier in the South, and his sort of looking for revenge that happens in the first season and eventually expands out. Sort of going to war against Colmini, the industrialist, and really cool show. It gives you a pretty cool look at history and how the West was won type sort of thing without necessarily having it to be about cowboys and Indians and all that other stuff. Of course, you know, those things are involved in it, but it gives it a look that's historically accurate and not something that we haven't seen a million times. So check out that, Hell on Wheels. I'm going to check out Bloodline here eventually. I'll probably give it in a couple of weeks, come back here and talk to you a little bit about it. Right now, you are listening to the Golden State Media Concepts television podcast. We'll be right back.
Are you looking for help for your fantasy football team? Check out the GSMC Fantasy Football Podcast. Get today's best advice on who to start, who to sit, even who you should draft. From sleeper picks to red-hot lineups, they got it all covered for you. That's gsmcpodcast.com/fantasy-football-podcast. We'll cover traditional leagues, dynasty, PPR, even IDP leagues. When you need fantasy help, there's just one show to hit up. Don't forget to like them on Facebook and follow them on Twitter. Visit gsmcpodcast.com for more info.
Welcome back. We were just talking about Netflix there previously, and now I want to get into a little bit about Amazon Prime. Now, if you don't have Amazon Prime, you need to get with the program because it's only $99.99 a year. And if you're on Amazon as much as I am and you're still paying for 3-day shipping, then you're a loser. So go ahead and get on that. And when you get Amazon Prime, not only do you get access to that savings and shipping that will ultimately pay for itself, but you also get access into the Amazon Prime Video. Now, they do have regular Amazon Video where you can rent and purchase. Amazon Prime with Prime Video, you get an access to a library similar to Netflix. They have a lot of the same movies on there that they try to stream, try to keep the market fairly equal. But one thing that Prime Video does that Netflix does not do is they have a catalog of HBO shows. Most of them are ones that are no longer on the air. So I didn't have HBO as an adult, never really paid for it. Had it for a couple of years when I first moved into California. Got it with cable. They're like, hey, you get HBO free for 2 years. Cool, I'm not going to complain about that. But after I went away from that and just cut the cord and started watching strictly from internet viewing, internet streaming, got on Prime, finally was able to go back and see what all the hubbub was about 10 plus years ago. Getting access to finally watch something like The Sopranos if I wanted to. I've finally watched Rome. Great series. Got into The Wire. We watched Deadwood, which only heightened my anticipation and desire for them to make a movie, which they keep bringing up that they might not. Who knows in this particular case. But you get to go back into that without having to have an HBO Go or HBO subscription. You can finally watch those programs on Amazon Prime without having to purchase the DVDs or anything else. So you get that catalog. Veep is another one. It's a newer show that they have seasons of that's watchable. Very funny show. Julia Louis-Dreyfus just gets better with age. So Amazon Prime gets you that Netflix does not. Amazon Prime also doing its own original content. They have shows like Bosch and another sitcom, as I was describing earlier, with Netflix having their own sitcoms. Amazon does as well, called Catastrophe. I enjoy the show. It's a little bit out there. Involves a guy there from America. He's in England on a business trip, hooks up with this chick for a few days. She ends up getting pregnant. He moves to England to be with her, doesn't want her to get rid of it. And it's about them trying to kind of build this awkward life together. It's honestly a pretty funny show. The second season just got put up there on Amazon Prime to watch. As well as those shows, which they will continually run or continually produce as maxi series, they also have miniseries. So The Man in High Tower was out there based on the Philip K. Dick novel of the same name, as well as Stephen King's 11/22/63. That one was starring James Franco, where he has to go back in time to stop the Kennedy assassination. But more so, Amazon allows you the ability to subscribe to different channels or sources that you're not going to get anywhere else. I have a Starz subscription. They also offer Showtime, CISO, Comedy Central. There's a whole bunch of different things you can subscribe to. You don't have to, of course, but I have a Starz subscription, and that gets you into shows like Outlander, Orphan Black, those types of things that my wife's watching. I am enjoying watching Black Sails, which is a Starz original. It stars people you haven't heard of. It stars Maggie Smith's son, Toby Stevens is what he goes by. He plays Captain Flint. Now, if you're familiar with that name, you might have read or seen Treasure Island, the Robert Louis Stevenson book. The treasure that is on Treasure Island is the fortune that Captain Flint amasses and then puts on the island. Black Sails is the story of how Captain Flint gets that rich and get the treasure, which will ultimately lead to, at the end, him finding the island and putting it there to lead to. So it's sort of this prequel to Treasure Island, and it's fun. In typical premium channel fashion, there is gratuitous sex and nudity, as there are with any type of Showtime or HBO show. They just do it because they can. But the show goes into a little bit, again, historical things, which I'm a huge fan of what the Caribbean was a lot like back in those times. There's sort of lawless times, and what ultimately comes about to be controlling over the British interests and stuff like that. So there is historical precedence and that capacity in the show. They do go about history, but a lot of it really just has to do with this sort of political game that comes with piracy. And I know it seems a little bizarre that, you know, with pirates that there is any type of politics, but there's politics and everything. So the show goes into a lot of that. Of course, there's a lot of action, a lot of dangerous characters that are about in the show. If you have the ability, Starz, I think I'm paying $7.99 a month for that. It's just an add-on subscription to Amazon Prime. So again, you don't have to get it, but you get access into it if you want to. So Amazon, being the big company it is, can do that. They have those avenues because they're such a big company to allow you, I mean, a vast library of just Amazon Prime stuff. But if you want to get into more things but still not wanting to make the dedication to getting cable or satellite services, but if you enjoy the programming like on Showtime or on Starz, then you can just get that and get that only added on there. And I'm looking at a couple of other things that I may want to. You get a 7-day free trial of a lot of these, and then after that, they'll start charging you. But it's something to look into. So that's becoming a next wave of things. And here in the next segment, when we get to talk about streaming device, the Roku, we'll get into what that offers and what the differences are in the different applications that it offers as well. So you're looking at with Amazon Prime, again, if you don't have it, get it. Just even outside of what it can offer you as far as media consumption, it's just a wise choice for if you shop on Amazon in general. So $99.99 a year. So even if you just get it for media consumption, it's still far less than paying for cable or satellite service every month. All you need is the internet connection. That's all you need. You sign up. It just charges you yearly. It's an incredibly great service for shopping on Amazon, as well as getting into the films, as well as the great television that it offers you. You want to watch The Wire, you can get on Amazon Prime. If you want to get Black Sails, if you want to get Orphan Black, if you want to check out Veep, if you want to watch, I was just watching Avatar, The Legend of Korra, some great children programming. Nickelodeon has a lot of stuff there on Amazon Prime that you can get. It's definitely a great service. I would definitely recommend checking it out. And we're going to go in a lot further here in the next few weeks, talking about other stuff that's on there that you can get into with Amazon, as far as what is on there, probably going a little bit further into it. Yeah, so definitely get it right now, get it yesterday, sign on, get it, and enjoy the watching, and enjoy the savings as it racks up while you're buying stuff that you don't even remember the next night. I do not recommend drinking and Amazoning, but, if you got to, you're going to get some stuff that you're going to deal with, as well as watching some episodes of Room while you're at it. All right. So that concludes that particular portion of the show, talking about Amazon Prime. We're going to, after this next message, get into talking about the Roku. Take notes, do what you will. You are listening to the Golden State Media Concepts television podcast. We will be right back with you.
Check out the show that's built on the MMA. From the UFC to extreme cage fighting, they got the fights covered. Check out the GSMC MMA podcast. Get the latest news on past or upcoming fights. Join us as we talk to and about some of the biggest names in the MMA, past, present, and future. When it's the fight game, there's just one show to check out. GSMCpodcast.com/MMA-podcast. Don't forget to like them on Facebook and follow them on Twitter. Visit GSMCpodcast.com for more info.
All right, we are back, and as promised, for those that haven't quite gotten all on board with cutting the cord, or those that are looking for getting a specific type of device that they can hook up, there's a lot out there on the market. And it seems like everything's kind of the same, or it seems like this is the same and this is more expensive. There's so many things out there. There are names that I trust. There are names that I don't know. Therefore, can I trust them? And the first one that I want to get into is the Roku. I'm highly considering getting a Roku. I know a lot of people that have them that really love them. I haven't made the commitment yet. I don't know if I want to get the Amazon Fire Stick. I don't know if I want to get the Roku. I'm essentially just like you in this situation. Therefore, I cannot, in this particular segment, advocate the purchase of anything. I just want to let you know what's out there, what it all means for you, and you ultimately make that decision. Now, I can talk to you about some pluses that would come along with the purchases of these. Obviously, there's some things that you can look at face value and be like, okay, that's cool, and I like that, and this is what this has that may be the deciding factor of what it is you want to get. So, the Roku is all that it is. I mean, the Roku exists just for the sake of this. I mean, Amazon can go out without, having to do a Fire Stick, without having to do a Fire System, because they have all this content, they ship all this stuff, and they do everything. They don't particularly need it. But this is Roku's game. This is their bag. This is what their business is made to do. So there are 5 different Rokus that are out there. There's Roku 1, 2, 3, and 4, and then there's the streaming stick. Now, the stick just plugs into the HDMI port of your television. So it's going to interact in that way. So that's where the Roku lives at. The other Roku units are ones that have a remote and then a unit that is independent of it that you can actually put in USB or micro SD type stuff. So if somebody gives you some content loaded onto a USB, you can actually plug that into your Roku in order to stream it to your television, rather than having to plug, if you don't have any USB ports in your television. I mean, if you have a newer TV that's come out in the last 5 years, you probably do. But should you not, you can get a Roku that interacts with an HDMI capable television and use it that way rather than having to plug directly in, or if you don't have one. So that's what those allow for. And each one, as they step up, the Roku 1 to 2 to 3 to 4, they offer the same service. So they're going to offer you the same access to 300,000 movies and TV episodes from 3,000 streaming channels. All of that which they offer on it are the same. So when you're making a choice between a Roku in particular, you're more looking for an accessory or feature of the Roku unit itself, because they offer the same capability or the same media library. Now, the 4 is separate from any other because it is 4K enabled. So a lot of these devices, so pre-4, they work for HDMI up to 1080p, and a lot of them were a long time trying to get over the hump for the newer 4K TVs. So you can get a Roku 4 on a 1080p TV and get the most out of that, but really, if you have a 4K television, you want to get the Roku 4. That flat out, that's all I can tell you about doing that. So if you have a 4K TV, I do not advocate getting anything under the 4, because you're going to get the most out of it getting that 4K experience with the Roku 4 outside of its other features. So right there, 4K, get the 4 because it's the only one enabled. Now, if you're looking at that 1080p, like I said, you can get the Roku 4. It's fine because it does come with different features that you may find to be the most interesting. So the Roku 3 and 4, they both have on the remote, you can plug in a headset to the remote control and it will just stream the audio into the headphones. So you can have a private listening experience watching TV, but just listening to it on your headphones, which, if you're a single parent and you got a kid put down and you want to watch something and you don't want it to be too loud to wake them up, or it's early in the morning, it's late at night, or for whatever case, where no one wants to hear the TV, you can still watch and then listen on your headset and still enjoy it. So that's pretty cool. I mean, if that's something that's going to be necessary, maybe if you live in an apartment with roommates, or if you're living in an apartment complex like mine, where the walls are made out of very fine paper, where you can literally hear people coughing in the next apartment, that's something that if there's always a disturbance, people getting on you about it, hey, you're listening to this too loud, you can go ahead and plug that in and still enjoy the TV experience and just carry the remote with your headphones put in, you're good to go. So outside of the 4K capabilities, which we talked about with the 4, a lot of these have the same type of features, shortcut buttons. It's going to come with the standard, usually Netflix, Amazon, Vimeo. Now, the Roku carries Sling TV. Now, that is a subscription-based service, and Sling's kind of cool. It gives you the chance to get really the Turner network, so like TNT, TBS. Mostly the selling point with Sling is that it gets you ESPN. ESPN was holding out of a lot of those type of streaming services. Only drawback with Sling, the only thing that really keeps me from getting Sling is that you get basically 20 channels, and it's $20 a month. I mean, you can get a basic cable subscription for about $40, $50 a month and get twice, if not 3 times as many channels as this. So the Sling's got to come down a little bit for me if I'm going to get the Sling. 20 channels, $1 a piece per month. I mean, I may just be pinching the pennies, but it just seems like a little bit too much at this point for my tasting. But if you take a look at Sling and you like the channels that it offers, and you can't possibly live without those channels and just want to pay $20 for it. In fact, there are probably people out there that would just pay $20 a month just to have ESPN, because that's probably why they're paying for cable to begin with, is just to get ESPN. So if it's worth the investment, then of course get it. So you also have access to the Roku mobile app with everything but the Roku One. The Roku One, obviously very basic, but it's not too expensive. It's $49.99, as well as the streaming stick, but the stick's got a little bit more to offer as far as features. So if you're going to go that route, if you're going to choose between the Roku One and the stick, you got that HDMI input, then definitely just get the stick, because you're going to get a lot more out of it. It's got screen mirroring for Android and Windows devices. It's going to keep your Netflix up to date. The trade-off there between the stick and the 4 is they have quad-core processors, so they do work faster than the 2 and 3 just in general, but the Roku 2 and 3 come with something that's specifically for HD optimization that aren't on the Roku 4 or the streaming stick. So they really kind of make up for those two, augmented by the other two. So you either got the processor or an HD optimization software feature that's in the 2 and 3. So either way, you're going to get really good HD value out of that. Now, as far as the content that you can get on there, Roku offers a bunch. Like I said, it's got Amazon Prime Standard, Netflix Standard, Vimeo Standard, these types of things. But what you can also get is the access into those subscription-based services as well. I mentioned Sling. There are a slew of others. They have almost like little other networks that you haven't really heard of that you can subscribe to. So you can get those through that. They also have other streaming services that are just for media, like Popcorn Cinema, stuff like that. So you get access into the same stuff, because you can get Netflix and you can get Amazon, but they have a couple other subscription services that Amazon may not. But it's always good to just go take a look at those and see what's on there. If it's something that you need that central unit to go off of to ensure, because right now I have a web app that's on my television that I get Amazon through, and when I purchase things I get the HD version. It may not be optimized for HD through that, so you might need that import or the input in there for HD. But the Roku is definitely something that I'm looking at. They offer you, like I said, 300,000 movies or television episodes, as well as a slew of different subscription-based services. And you can check them out on Roku.com. Next week, we're going to highlight a different one there for you. Just so we can give you the breakdown of what it is you want to put your money into. These start at $49.99. They go all the way up to the Roku 4, I believe, is about $130. Okay. So that concludes this week's episode for the Golden State Media Concepts Television Podcast. I've been your host, Drew. Check us out, GSMCpodcast.com, as well as iTunes, where you can also download and check out all the other fine programs that we offer. You can follow us on Facebook and or Twitter. The choice is yours. Thanks for tuning in. I'll be here next week. I have been your host, and this concludes your broadcast day.